let's take a look at how to catch one of the most prolific hunters of inshore waters, the crash-diving pollock. This video covers how to target them from deep rock-ledge venues. We'll first show you where around the coast pollock can be found. We'll then have a look at the ideal conditions that best suit them on the day. We'll then cover tips around where to cast to maximize your chances, followed by some tackle and rig tips. We'll then take a look at what options we have for bait. So where can they be found? In the UK they are found around the entire British Isles, but are found in better number and size along the western and southern coastal stretches. On the continent they are found in good numbers along the western and southern Norway coast, as well as around France down to the Bay of Biscay. They can also be found in good numbers around the coasts of Iceland. In smaller numbers they can be found along the Spanish and Portuguese coasts, as well as the Baltic Sea and the coasts of northern Norway. So what would be ideal conditions for pollock? The season for pollock can start as early as May, when they usually return from spawning, though due to gradual temperature changes they can sometimes now return as late as June. Their numbers will gradually increase throughout the summer months. When September hits, the larger, more specimen-sized pollock will begin moving inshore as they follow the bait fish of which they feed on. The numbers of specimen-sized fish inshore will typically peak around October to November. By the time late winter arrives around February, the fish will then leave offshore to spawn in deeper waters. For the deep rock venues, fishing the neap tides will allow more accessible fishing, giving better, safer access to the water. Large tides on these deeper venues will not be a requirement. It's actually possible to catch them on either the flood or the ebb. They can fish around the slacker tidal periods around low and high, but they do prefer some tidal current running, so the hours either side of the halfway point of the flood and the hours either side of the halfway point of the ebb are typically ideal. It is also possible to catch them during the actual middle points of these phases, though if you are fishing a strong current venue, the currents can be slightly strong for the pollock, which can see them momentarily reduce feeding until the tide flow eases again. On the deeper rock ledges, pollock won't tend to be deterred by rough weather, though it's extremely important to note, fishing steep, slippery rock ledges should not be attempted when waves are turbulent due to safety reasons. What's more, pollock will still feed on these venues when there is an easy surf, or even when conditions are calm. If there has been a large storm with very heavy wave action, it can sometimes cause the pollock to move offshore for a period of days before they return again. As the water will be deep, it is very possible to fish for them even when skies are clear, but sticking to the deeper water will be a wise choice. Despite this, overcast skies will always give you the edge, as will dawn and dusk periods. Pollock are sensitive to drops in temperature and rising barometric pressure, so fishing easterly or northerly winds will likely see bites reduce. So what are our options for casting? As mentioned, during the brighter, clearer skies, especially when water conditions are clear, casting in sections of deeper water can give you greater success. When finding deep points to cast into, look for areas where the seabed isn't as visible, as this is where the light fails to reach. Perhaps even more important than depth is structure. Pollock love any structure to hunt and hide amongst. As deep water rock ledge venues are constantly covered by tide, reading the water for signs of structure is a brilliant approach to use. This is best done in calmer wave conditions, ideally when there is some tidal current running, such as during the periods mentioned in previous sections. When reading the water, look for swirls on the surface. Also look for areas of calm flat water that otherwise has choppy rough water around it. These are two types of surface disturbance that show that underwater structure is present. It's important to note though, that the flow of the current will slightly drift these surface disturbances down tide from the original underwater structure that made them. So casting just up tide from these surface disturbances is key. Look out for points where the rock protrudes or juts out into the main flow of water, as pollock will hunt any bait fish that get swept past these in the current. Also keep an eye out for areas where the current will bottleneck between the main coast and any small islands or large rocks, as bait fish will also get swept through, and the pollock will pick up fish on the other side. Another feature is a gully close to a kelp bed. Kelp beds are better found at low tide, especially during spring tides when the water will be at its lowest, when low tide occurs. So what would be a suitable choice for tackle? The typical effective way to target pollock from deep rock marks is to fish using lures. Though as this video focuses on bait fishing, a sensible choice of rig would be a float setup which presents baits effectively and also prevents snags. If you wish to see the lure technique explained, we will make sure to provide the video link at the end. Ideally on the day it would be sensible to have 2 or 3 different sized cigar floats and varying matching weights, just in case you need more weight to either cast through wind or keep your baits deep in a stronger current flow. You should start with a drop of about half depth, then gradually lengthen the drop until you find fish. Using a strong spinning rod that casts between 2 to 3 ounces will help give you some extra power for handling fish and pulling free from snaggy ground. Use a main line of either mono or braid, with a minimum breaking strain of 20 pounds. Use a fluorocarbon leader that runs from your reel all the way through to the bottom swivel of the rig. Fluorocarbon will add a little extra stealth, but most importantly for this venue type, it will provide some extra abrasion resistance. For the snoods, it makes sense to use a slightly lighter line in relation to our leader, fluorocarbon of around 15 pounds breaking strain. This means that if the hook becomes snagged, we will still likely be able to retrieve the rest of our rig above the lower swivel. Then we can simply retie a replacement snood. A sensible hook choice would be a strong pattern hook between size 10 to 20, just in case we need some extra strength with lifting in a larger fish from the water. Though always make use of either a drop net or a long-handled net, if it is safe enough to do so. This prevents any further damage to the fish as well as prevents you losing catches. So what are our typical options bait-wise? A popular option is fish strips such as mackerel or bluey. These can either be presented as small strips, or as fillets bound on using elastic to create a compact bait. Sandeel are another popular choice. Use either a whole small sandeel or if using larger fish, be sure to cut them into sensible chunks. Another popular bait for pollock is squid. Again, these can either be as whole squid bound onto the hook, or smaller squid strips. King ragworm, or large ragworm baits, can give good visual attraction, if conditions allow. Hi guys, just a quick reminder, if you like my videos and find that you are learning some useful tips, please do remember to click the subscribe button just under this video. Subscribing is completely free. There's no sign-up process as it's all done at the click of a button. Also do remember to hit the like button if you find a specific video interesting and helpful. Doing these things really does help support the channel and allows me to keep making more and more helpful videos that will hopefully make your sessions that much more enjoyable. Thanks so much guys. If you'd like to know how to use a lure approach to catch pollock, check out the video link showing now. As mentioned, wave action is another important factor for success, so we have also included a video that explains the ins and outs of wave action in detail. Don't forget to check out our channel page where you can find videos on how to catch many species, as well as videos covering conditions, tackle and other skills and methods to give you the edge. Simply click the channel name under the video window to find our page. Thanks again for watching. See you again soon.